Travel Talk, where our expert magical memory planners discuss ways you can have fun, memorable, and stress-free family vacations.
Hey everyone, welcome to Travel Talk. I am so excited about this episode because we have a special guest with us this time. This is Al from Universal Parks and Resorts, and I'm just so excited to have him come on and share an expert opinion about Universal with all our listeners. I know he's got some really great information, and I'm so excited to hear from him. So Al, let's start with introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about you personally.
Well, thank you, Allison. I appreciate the invite. Well, let's see here. I've actually been in this travel industry for over 30 years. Can you believe that? And I reside in South Jersey near Philadelphia. So I've been out here, gosh, since 2000. But I'm originally from South Texas and then have lived in Colorado. And I've actually worked for airlines and wholesalers. But now I get to work for a great product, which is Universal Orlando Resorts. So lots of fun.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your role at Universal and how long you've been with them.
Well, I just celebrated I think it's the 14th year anniversary in February. So I started in 2007, and I've always worked as a business development manager for Universal Orlando Resort. So my role primarily is to be out in the market, specifically through the travel agency channel, and to help train, share what's currently happening at our destination, and doing podcasts like this.
That's awesome. So let's jump into some of the stuff specific to the resorts and things like that. So I think the first thing that's top of mind and that our listeners would really be interested in is if you could share a little bit about the ways that Universal Parks and Resorts is prioritizing safety and what guests can expect in relationship to that on an upcoming Universal vacation.
Well, safety is key by all means. And so the processes that we've had in place to support safety to our guests, they're resort-wide. First of all, one of the items that we do is when guests are visiting, whether it be the theme parks or the resorts, and they're going into the theme parks, everyone goes through a metal detector. So we want to make sure that only the items that are permitted on premises are being brought in. So everyone goes through that. And then we've also have lots of other safety protocols throughout the entire resort, again, to avoid the spread of germs and so forth, with regular sanitizing in the common areas, whether it be our hotels or the theme parks. And we have lots of sanitizers all over, and including actually in our rides. As people get to board our rides, we have sanitizing options there. So we really keep the place as clean as we possibly can.
Yeah, I remember on my last trip I was there, right before we boarded every ride, they were there with a hand sanitizer, gave everybody a squirt on our way in, which was fantastic. And I have to say, as a bonus, it was a very nice hand sanitizer because some of them can leave you kind of sticky and smelling awful. And it had a little aloe in it, and it was very nice actually. I was like looking for it for my family. I was like, oh, I think I like this kind. It's good.
And right now, of course, when it comes to all the different protocols, they do get tweaked periodically. So my best recommendation would be for everyone to definitely be in contact with their travel advisor and to learn what's currently in place before they get down to our destination.
That's true, because it is constantly changing all the time. So let's talk about some of the on-site resorts specifically. So in total, there are 8. Ranging from the premier hotels like the Lowe's Portofino Bay Hotel, all the way to the brand new value hotels like the Endless Summer Resorts, both Dockside Inn and Suites and Surfside Inn and Suites. So what do you find are the most popular resorts?
Well, I would have to say that, as we look at our occupancy numbers, I'm kind of just making reference to that. It appears that really all of our on-site hotels do have a really high demand. We actually have 4 different categories, as you have started talking about. We have our prime value and up to our premier categories, and they all have a different theme. So some of the hotels like Cabana Bay Beach, for example, they have a throwback thing, like the 1950s where the Brady Bunch would stay, that kind of a feel. And also the price points have exceptional price points. So whether it be from a standard room to suites, we have those categories available at all of our properties or most of our properties. And talking about Cabana Bay Beach, the one thing that really stands out about that property is that it has in the rooms, whether it be a standard room or some of the suites, floor-to-ceiling glass windows. And some of the rooms have a view of our volcano bay that is just breathtaking. So, all kinds of really neat features. And if a guest wants to stay at a property that has the energy and cool vibe to it, then the hotel they would want to probably go to would be the Hard Rock Hotel. If you have seen the album of the Eagles, well, guess what? That is a hotel we have there at Universal Orlando. It's actually really cool. And that's actually one of the hotels that is considered our premier hotel. So we have, of course, the Portofino, which is a replica image of Portofino, Italy. And then we have the Royal Pacific, which has a Polynesian flair. And also those three properties, what's unique about them is that one of the key benefits of staying there is customers get what we call Express Pass Unlimited. And what that means is that when they go into the theme park, they show their room key with the attendant, and they're allowed to get into a separate line that pretty much just puts them up to the front of the line by going through that line. And I'll tell you, in the middle of summer, when the lines are an hour and a half long, it shaves off 75% of your wait time. So as a result, you really end up having a whole different experience by staying at those properties.
Yeah, I have to say one of my favorites, I mean, I do love them all. But one of my favorites is Hard Rock, and being that it is the closest in walking distance to the Universal Studios, you get that express pass, and I don't know, it's like that theme is so fun, and I don't know if they still do it, but I recall that if you brought their room key at the end, they'll turn it into a guitar pick for you. Do you know they're still doing that or not?
They're doing that. And actually the Hard Rock Hotel also has another program where if you're into playing guitars, they will loan you a guitar. They have like 30 really unique guitars. They'll loan it for you with an amplifier and a headset so you could go ahead and play in your room. I mean, this is truly intended for people who know how to play and that could really enjoy having something that's unique or playing something that's unique that they haven't done before. They don't charge for that, for loaning it, but they do require a deposit because they don't want anybody to bring back a guitar that's partly, there. Don't want to have anybody get carried away. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect for one of the rock star suites, right? You could have your own little concert in one of the rock star suites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the theme suites too, just to touch on them briefly. There's the Jurassic Park suites, right? Over at
the Royal Pacific.
At Royal Pacific. And then there's also the Minion suites over at
they're adorable.
Portofino, right?
Portofino. Yeah. So actually all of our suites, again, there's all kinds of different room categories that people could choose from, but our suites, our character suites, are heavily themed. And what it is, it's a room with two twin beds for the kids. And then it's attached to a king size room, and they all have a shared bathroom. But what's nice about them is that when the adults put their kids to bed, they know they're going to be in their room because there's no way to exit into the hallway unless it's through the parents' room. So it just provides that additional assurance and security that, the kids are in bed. They're not out wandering around somewhere.
Right. Yeah. So you get that privacy, you know that they're safe. And of course, you're just going to elevate that vacation even further because not only is all the theming happening during the day, but then when you come back to your room at night, you have a whole nother memorable experience there. So those are really, really cool rooms. The way the beds are designed, they're really, really cool. So let's talk a little bit about the theme parks. So there's two parks. A lot of times we refer to them as the dry parks as opposed to the water park. But there's two amazing parks, both Universal Orlando and Islands of Adventure. What theme and what can guests expect to find at Universal Orlando versus Islands of Adventure? Like, how are they a little bit different? Do they have a different flair to them or a different theme?
Actually, yes. They're all slightly different. But one thing that, first of all, that surprises guests when they first arrive at our destination is how we're set up. Everything is a very manageable destination. We're a very manageable destination. The theme parks are dry parks, for example. They're right next to each other. So you have Universal Studios that's less than 4-minute walking distance to the gate of Islands of Adventure. So they're side by side. And that really stands out to a lot of people because, when they go to a destination like Universal, they think everything's spread out. You're going to be losing a lot of time in traveling around from point A to point B. But in reality, it's all walkable if we really wanted to. I mean, you could actually even walk to the resorts. The closest one is 6 minutes away. That's the Hard Rock. And the furthest one is 14 to 21 minutes, and that would be the Portofino or going back to Cabana Bay Beach. So as far as the dry parks, Islands of Adventure, the park was actually created with a thought that it would be based on literature characters. And so the thing nowadays, though, is that people write a book and then they make a movie. So now the storylines are very much interchangeable between both parks. Our rides tend to be very high tech in nature. So in Islands of Adventure, for example, people can ride Spider-Man, which is a 3D ride. It's a high-tech ride. And actually, it's really cool because when you see kids going through it, they're always trying to find the image of Stan Lee, the writer of the book. And he makes 4 cameo appearances within the ride. So, everyone's kind of going through it, trying to find them. And what's also really interesting, if you sit back and just look at the individuals doing the rides, the kids and so forth, they don't do it one time. They go in there and do it over and over again because there's so much to see. And they're trying to capture the essence and find those little details of information that they know about, but they're trying to figure out where is it located in this ride. So the other thing also is that we have some roller coasters that are spread around in different places. One of my favorite ones, of course, is the Hulk. And the Hulk, the reason it's my favorite is that I'm afraid of heights. So I know, and I'm on coaster, right? But what's cool about that coaster is that it shoots you out like at 40, 50 miles per hour, and you're upside down before you even know it. And for me, being afraid of heights, that's a really big thing because what it allows me to do is not think about the click, click, click going up. You're upside down and having fun right off the bat. So that's one of the coasters we have. But we also have things for little kids and for families to enjoy. Like, for example, in Seuss Landing, we have Cat in the Hat, which is a family ride. And also many of our other rides, what many people would consider an adult ride in the sense like King Kong Skull Island. There's some scary zones in there, but for the most part, you only have to be 36 inches old or tall. I always say old, but that could be a 5-year-old. I mean, it could be a different height, a child or age child. But at 36 inches, the entire family can do that ride together, which is kind of cool. So I really do like that whole area. And also Islands Adventure, many of the rides tend to be indoors. And when you start going over to Universal Studios, which, by the way, you could go ahead and exit the front gates and walk over, less than 4 minutes, or you could go ahead and go over through the Hogwarts Express. So that's the other thing, because at Universal, we are the destination of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Okay,
Yes.
bottom line. As a matter of fact, Islands of Adventure, most people don't know this, that it's a whole 23 acres that's dedicated to Harry Potter there.
Wow.
It's a big span. And also, it's really authentic to the storyline because it's J.K. Rowling and her team that dictate what will happen in those worlds. Okay, so even if we want to paint a wall green, we have to go ahead and make sure we get her approvals, for example. So it's very authentic to her image. So the 23 acres consist of course, the downtown area of a Hogsmeade. We do have, of course, a 3 Broomsticks breakfast, which customers could incorporate into a vacation package and have breakfast there on a reserved basis. It's really neat, nice. And actually, if you're exploring the area of Hogsmeade, you could go into Honeyduke's candy shop, and actually right across the hallway is the Owl Post. And I always encourage travelers to make sure they go down there with their phone book and or postcards that have been pre-written. If not, they could write them there. We do sell postcards and so forth, and they could send back to their friends and family a postcard or a letter with a Hogsmeade post stamp on it.
I have those.
So we're one of Isn't it cool?
Yes.
We're one of the 2 places in the entire world that actually have this Hogsmeade post stamp. The other place is Hollywood. But it's a neat thing to receive. And then actually, as you're looking from Hogsmeade towards the back, you see the Hogwarts castle that just goes up into the sky. And the castle itself is pretty incredible. I mean, it's a beautiful castle. It has all kinds of passageways. You could actually listen to stories of the founding fathers as they're talking to the talking portraits and so forth. It's got the sorting hat. I mean, it just has so many different things to look at. And then the ride itself is the Forbidden Journey. And what you do when you get on the ride, you're able to go ahead and fly through the air with Harry Potter and kind of just going on his adventure, in a sense. You're traveling with him. It's not a coaster. But it does give you the sensation at times that you're just, again, flying through the air with him. And one thing also about our destination, a lot of people don't realize, is that the entire rides and the hotels and so forth were very much ADA compliant. But what that means to a customer who maybe has needs the usage of a wheelchair and so forth, and this is just one example of so many that we have resort-wide or in the theme parks, is that we have a separate loading area for customers who cannot use a moving walkway, for example. So they could go there with their family and go ahead and load onto the same vehicle that they would normally in the regular line and take their time to load. And that way, and then of course, the vehicle will go ahead and get in queue to have the same identical experience as everyone else. And when they finish, they come back to the special loading area where they can disembark and take their own time in doing so. That's just one example of so many we have within our destination to really accommodate a customer of whatever the needs are in that situation. We also opened up just recently within that same world, Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. It is a cool, now that's a coaster, but it's a low coaster. It doesn't go very high. But when you get there and get ready to board, you have the choice between a sidecar or a motorbike. And this ride sounds like a motorbike. You zoom through the Forbidden Forest and see all the magical creatures they have there. And it's got a couple of surprising parts. I mean, there's one part where the track drops down for about 7 feet and reconnects with another track out, and that's the entire coaster dropping down to 7 feet. It's really, really cool. So, yeah, I have of course, rides and so forth. I always tell people, because I've had some customers that would say, I've never really have followed Harry Potter. I don't know anything about it. And my message to them is, if you know how to have fun, you're going to love this whole area, because you really do get submerged into that whole storyline and understand the beauty behind it. And actually, people who've read the books, because Harry Potter has such a huge following. People who have read the books, I mean, it's an ooh-ah, tearful experience even. It's just neat. And as I was sharing with you, you could go take the Hogwarts Express train ride to go to the other park, which is about a 3-minute ride. And when you get to the other park, by the way, when you take the Hogwarts Express, you actually want to take it in both directions, because it's a different story that plays out in both directions. And also, by taking that train, customers do need to have park-to-park tickets, so that is the appropriate ticket to request. It gives you the option of going between theme parks, and since they're right next to each other, you're not losing a lot of travel time or anything like that.
And it's really like riding a ride going over there. I mean, the whole train station, going into like platform, 9 3/4 and going through the wall. Yeah. If you listen, when you go through this brick wall in the London station heading toward Hogsmeade, you literally, you have to listen for it, but it's just a walkway, because obviously it's like an arch. But when you walk through, if you listen, you hear like whoosh, because you're like going through the wall, and then you come out the other side and everything's 9 3/4, and there's owls and luggage and trolley carts, and you're like, this is so cool. So it's not even like a transportation, it's more like an attraction in and of itself, and you just end up in someplace new, and continuing your day. So it's almost not even like a stop to transport. It's like the experience is just continuing. It's so cool.
It really is. And, and the people who take the time to explore and find those little hidden gems, because it really is. In that scenario, one individual would want to stay back a little bit so they could record while the other person's going through the experience, and that way they could take that home as a keepsake. But yeah, the whole ride, actually, when we first created the train ride, we knew it was transportation, but we didn't realize how well it was going to work out. It actually won an accolade the first year it opened up for being one of the best family attractions out there. So it's done extremely well. It's actually one of my favorite rides, and I think it's also a favorite ride because you actually are allowed to take a butterbeer on board and drink it while the train ride's occurring. Yeah, so it's fun.
It's
now, and on the other side, because you were asking me about what makes them different as far as Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, when you get to Universal Studios, that, of course, when it was first created, it was based on the movies. And as I shared with you, of course, now, they write a book, they make a movie. So lots of the storylines are interchangeable. And over there at Universal Studios, when you walk in the front gates, for example, it kind of gives you the feeling that you're walking into a filmmaking facility, with all the sound stages. They've created that atmosphere to give you that feel that this is a movie set. Mm-hmm. And the rides over there, as I also may have shared, is that they tend to be indoors, whereas Islands Adventure, they're more outdoors. And that's good to know, because especially when they do have a rain season in Orlando, I always tell people, start your day at Islands Adventure and finish your day over there at Universal Studios, a little tidbit. But over there, actually, it's the rides. I mean, they're high-techy as well. We have Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which is a roller coaster. You could listen to music as you're taking the coaster, and it's really loud and clear. And actually, there's also filming involved as they're filming you going through the experience. We do have Transformers over there, which is 3D, and we also have Race to New York with Jimmy Fallon. And actually, they created a ride that looks like 30 Rock, a miniature version by all means, but just like in New York, and you're walking through the hallways, and they actually do look like the hallways of 30 Rock in New York. The way it looks is like you're going to go ahead and see a show, but in reality, once you get in there, the show quickly turns into a ride, and then you're chasing Jimmy, trying to beat Jimmy to the finish line through his world, and it's just a blast. Also at Universal Studios, we do have, going back to Harry Potter, we have Diagon Alley. Mm. And Diagon Alley is 20 acres dedicated to Harry Potter over there. And it's just, when you walk in, when you walk up to the ride, it looks like the facade of one of the buildings in the banks. They're at the Banks of England, you really don't know, you can't tell what's behind those walls. But once you start walking through the walls, you see this area that's just breathtaking. And in Diagon Alley, we have the Ollivander's a restaurant there, which of course customers could go ahead and have breakfast as well on a reserved basis. And we have the Shutter Button photography store, which is really a neat experience for families if they want to do something together, an activity, and have a keepsake. So with Shutter Button, they get robed up in Harry Potter attire, and the producer there at the store will place them in front of a green screen. And then at that point, he'll instruct them, or she will instruct them to act out certain scenes of the Harry Potter storyline. When it's all said and done, they have a video that they could go ahead and keep as a keepsake, and of course even download from for social media. Just a really fun thing to do for families. And then we have our primary ride there in the back area, which is Escape from Gringotts Bank, which is, again, very high-techy. It's a combination of 3D/roller coaster combined as one. It's just so much fun. It's a blast. I love the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, actually. One of the newest rides, though, that we just opened up this last summer is Jason Bourne's Tentacular. Talking about, if you're into high tech and you love the cinema and action adventure, I mean, this is a live show, and they take you through 3 different continents with all kinds of stunts, and it really, what happens is that you can't tell what's real and not real because it's also high definition, that buildings that are really filmed look like real buildings. It's just amazing what they've done. That's it's become my favorite show. We just opened it up not too long ago. It's definitely something I encourage everyone to make sure they take the time to go see the show. It's amazing.
Awesome. One of my favorite things, just to circle back to Harry Potter, one of my favorite things in Universal Studios is to sit outside of Diagon Alley over by the night bus and watch the people walk by the entrance and not be able to find it. So when I took my kids there for the first time, I told them the clue that the entrance was by the night bus. When you see the night bus, that's where the entrance was, but I wasn't going to tell them where it was. And certainly my children walked right past it while I was laughing. And it's just so well disguised, but just like in the book, you don't really know how to get into Diagon Alley, right? Unless you're a wizard. So you shouldn't see it when you're walking through London. So you pass the London station and then you keep walking and you'll just keep walking through London. You won't notice that you just missed it. So it's very entertaining sometimes just to watch the guests and you know, kind of keep an eye on that entrance. Once you know where it is, it's easy to find. But it's always kind of catches you off guard, I think, the first time when you're expecting it to just kind of be open and in your face, and then you walk by and you're like, wait a minute, where's the entrance?
Yeah, so, yeah, very true.
A lot of fun. It keeps it, like you said, it keeps it very authentic to the story and to the book, and it makes it even more exciting to go there, I think. So now we talk about maybe my favorite water park that I've ever been to, the Amazing Volcano Bay. So this was, you know, Universal's first water park, and it is amazing, not only because it's an amazing water park, but because of the way the technology and the way the park runs. I think it's extremely efficient, and I think that the way the park is laid out is really well done too, with the volcano and the way everything's kind of around it. So could you share a few things for our listeners about what sets this water park apart from other water parks? What makes it unique?
Right. So, of course, this is our newest park out of our 3 theme parks. And first of all, there's a lot of interesting features they incorporated into it. First of all, it's themed. You actually, when you walk in, you have the volcano, which has a spirit inside by the name of Vol. And it's the Waturi tribe that have invited you to join them in their island. And of course, it's a beautiful island, has 3 different sections, and each section, by the way, is self-contained. So it has its own lockers and so forth. So everything is very much centrally located. You don't have to walk huge distances to get somewhere else. Also, one thing about it, it's heated. So it's open year round, so anyone could enjoy it throughout the entire year. And they also added some spa, what we would refer to as kind of like spa enhancements, meaning you don't have to carry your tube around, for example, like, you know, when you normally do at a water park. No, we have them waiting for you up at the ride, so there's no worrying about that. We actually have over 8,000 beach chairs. So everyone has plenty of chairs to pick from, right, in the entire resort. As a matter of fact, also what we have is a tapu tapu, which is that wristband that's given to you upon entering. Now, what you would want to do is download the Universal app, and in there you could go and key in your credit card information. What happens is once you walk in and you get your tapu tapu, it all synchronizes. So it will synchronize for the time that you're using that wristband. And then once you leave the park, of course, everything gets removed from it. So all that information that was on your app will just disappear and go back to your app. But the wristband, the reason we have that is because it gets used in many different ways. It's a way of opening up a locker, for example. There's a lot for the family. There's a lot of activities that you could go ahead and trigger, and it's interactive. Like you could go ahead and make fountains squirt or different things occur, and the kids love that, of course. You know, when they're out there and about and looking at the different places, it can make something happen. Also, it becomes a virtual line. So what happens at Universal at Volcano Bay, and they would use the tapu tapu to clock in and do a ride. And then the wristband will notify you when it's your time to do the ride. So that way you don't have to be standing in line. You could actually go out and do another ride or another attraction, or go have lunch, or go to the wave pool, or whatever it is you want to do without having to wait in line. So it really just creates a whole different experience as a result of that. And you're able to have more fun there in the water park. So it's a breathtaking water park as far as how it looks like and everything. And actually, it's also, again, very close to to everything. As a matter of fact, Cabana Bay Beach, that one hotel is attached to it. It's got its own private walkway. And even Sapphire and Aventura, which are also newer hotels for us, they have also a pathway they could go ahead and enter to the front area. Of course, resort-wide, there's transportation resort-wide. Customers never have to worry about transportation because we have water taxis or bus service, one or the other, depending on which hotel you're staying at. But everything connects, so nobody needs to worry about it. But if you don't want to do the water taxis or the buses, you could walk it because it's very manageable. Everything's very close to each other. As a matter of fact, that's the one thing that a lot of people do say about the destination. It's a very manageable destination. Everything's within arm's reach. Okay, so, but it's a beautiful water park. I'm glad you love it. It's just so much fun to go there. And family, it's a full day experience. You really need to include a whole day to enjoy the water park.
Yeah, we spent a day there, and I mean, my kids loved the dry parks too, but they, really loved Volcano Bay. We had a fantastic time. So we're talking about if we went down just for a weekend and had one day to do one thing, what would we do for one day? And Volcano Bay was on the top of that list of just, if we had one day in Florida to do something fun, what would we pick? And Volcano Bay was on the top of that list because
on the very top.
It's just such a fun day.
Yeah, and you know what? And actually, it really rivals any other water park in Orlando. It has actually the most multi-passenger rides, so that way the families can enjoy the ride together, right? I mean, what a concept, right? Go down there and be able to have fun together as a family. It also has the most it has on par, if not more, than most water parks down there as far as single passenger rides. And those are really the thrill-seeking rides. That's where the floors disappear from underneath you in the tube and off you go, and so that kind of a ride is actually very exciting. And then it also has just as much, if not more, than the other water parks as far as family attractions or family rides, and that would be like the lazy rivers and the wave pools and so forth. So yeah, it was really well thought out, and we keep hearing great reviews, and customers are enjoying it. And again, these are there's a lot of more details than we're sharing here. Right. Of course, we have a limited amount of time, but be aware that that's where, again, the travel advisors really come in. I mean, travel advisors, that's my role of making sure I share, update, and there's always constantly changing information and enhancements being done. So everyone who's listening, make sure that you always reach out to your travel advisor and get the most updated information. They have it. They do all the hard work. You guys do all the hard work of keeping that information straight, organized, updated, and that way the customer can really have the best experience once they get to a destination such as Universal.
Perfect. So true. So let's talk about one more of my favorite topics, which is food, of course. So there's the parks, the hotels, and City Walk, there's just so many great places to eat in Universal. So one of the ways to manage all that is by adding one of the dining plans that Universal has. And they are so flexible the way their dining plans work, with their quick service option and their dining plan, and even the quick service with the cup, which I actually have right here. It's my favorite drink. And so, there's so many things to do with that. So talk a little bit about the dining plans and what, opportunities that gives the guests to enhance their vacation.
Well, we do have a couple of options there when it comes to our dining plans. When they can incorporate into a package, for example. So we have a full service dining plan. And then we also have a quick service dining plan. So those are the two primary dining plans. Right now, our dining plans are applicable at most restaurants within City Walk and all the restaurants within our theme parks. And just to kind of give you a quick rundown of the full service dining plan, when the customer purchases that plan, they could buy as many days as they want. So if they're there for 7 days but only want 2 days worth, no problem. If they want to mix and match and do 2 days of quick full service and 2 days of quick service, no problem. Lots of flexibility. If there's 7 people in their group, but only 2 people want dining plans, no problem. It all works. So there's lots of flexibility. For each day the customer buys, when it comes to the full service dining plan, they get a sit-down dinner. And the dinner would be their entree, dessert, and a non-alcoholic beverage. They also get, for that same day, as part of that plan, a counter service, lunch or a dinner, whatever they want to, but it's a counter service meal, and it also comes with a non-alcoholic beverage. And then they get 1 snack and 1 non-alcoholic beverage. And by the way, the snack and the non-alcoholic beverage are interchangeable. They could use it in whichever way they want. And actually, also, this 1 day of entitlements don't have to be used all in 1 day.
Right.
They could actually spread it out over multiple days if they want to. And what's really nice about it, if they don't use an entitlement, say there's like 3 things left on their card, they could save the card and use it for the next trip. So nothing ever expires. Now, the quick service is very similar to the table service option. The only difference is it doesn't have the sit-down dinner option. It's just the counter servers, the snack, and the non-alcoholic beverage. There's some good savings to be had. On the quick service, for example, it's like 20% savings compared to if you were to go ahead and just pull and pay for yourself on the dining options. And also, it's a good way to keep things within budgets. Mm-hmm. Everyone, especially if you're traveling with a family and you're trying to keep everything within a budget, well, just buy the dining plan. Everyone has the dining plan. Your meals are covered, and it's just a good measurement, a good way of keeping track of your expenditures at that point.
Yeah, I love how flexible it is, because I've even worked with families where maybe they have more adult children, upper teens or young 20s, and the parents will do the dining plan so that they can have a sit-down dinner maybe in City Walk, and they'll get the quick service dining plan for the kids so that they can have their meals covered and handle their dinner in the park. Maybe they're going to stay a little later in the park. The parents can go have dinner at a sit-down location, and the kids can stay in the park, and the parents know that their meals are covered versus giving them their credit card and going and have a good time.
Exactly.
So they have the meals that they need. And so the flexibility there among the travel party is really, really one of my favorite parts about the universal dining plans. So let me think what else I wanted to talk about. So there are a few hidden gems when it comes to food. I think there's a few places there that are just not to be missed. So share with us, from your opinion, maybe one of your favorite sit-down places or quick service or snacks that you have to have on every Universal trip.
Well, I'm actually very partial to ice cream. So and there's many different places. I mean, in Diagon Alley, of course, you could go ahead get butterbeer ice cream there. I would have to say, now, as I think about ice cream, though, and desserts, the first place that comes out and stands out in my head is the Toothsome Chocolate Emporium and Savory Feast Kitchen. Oh my gosh. When you go in there and you look at their menu of desserts, I haven't done this, but I'm going to start working my from the dessert and then try to see if I could get to my entree next time, because I always get to the dessert and I'm so full already that I never really get to enjoy all of it. But these desserts are like incredible, and there's such a big variety. But when you look at them, you're like, oh my God, this is a meal right here. This dessert is going to be my meal. But so anyway, everyone has either a sweet tooth or a savory tooth, right? So for me, I actually have, fortunately, both. But the desserts there at the Emporium, but also their food is pretty awesome. It's very savory. They actually do infuse some chocolate flavors, cocoa, into some of the meals. And initially, when I first thought about that, I thought, I don't know how I like that. It's actually quite delicious. They really do a fantastic job. So that's one place I would say would be a hidden gem. But you know what? It's also not just the theme parks and the and City Walk. There's a lot of really cool places within the resorts that I think are hidden gems. Like, for example, I love going to Sapphire Falls and going to Strongwater Tavern. They have ceviche there and small tapas and so forth. Really, really good. I mean, it's just awesome. That's one of my favorite places to go to and have some savory food. Cowfish at City Walk. I mean, it's where burgers meet sushi. So they actually even have a menu item called Burgushi, where sounds weird, but they take components of both sushi and hamburgers. I mean, things that make sense and work together by all means, but actually it's a really cool menu. So that's another fun place. And actually that's a fun place to go to if you want something a little bit different and unique. So definitely go there.
What about at Aventura at the rooftop restaurant there?
That is, you know what? I love that place too. I mean, I could go on. I mean, if I were to tell you all the places I like going to, it would sound like I just like all of them, because I do. And actually, so the rooftop bar, you're right. It does. First of all, it's on the very top of the Aventura Hotel, which is one of our newest properties, by the way. You know, it opened up just a couple of years ago, and it has a panoramic view of the entire resort. I mean, it's got just a really cool view. It's all glass, and you're able to see out and see the theme parks in Volcano Bay right across the street. And they do have some savory foods up there. Actually, I'm partial to seafood. I'll let you know. So I eat a lot of seafood, and they have one of the best octopus dishes up there that is just amazing. And their beverages, of course, of all kinds that they make, just a perfect way to really enjoy a nice evening out up there. And it's really intended, now that rooftop bar is really intended more so for adults, you know, kind of a setting, because it just lends itself to that more so. And so does strong water, but we do have a lot of different places where, of course, the whole family could really have fun. Cowfish, going back to say, well, Cowfish is
right.
a perfect one that really is that way.
Or
but,
toothsome.
and
the kids are never going to be upset there.
Oh, no, all of them. I mean, there's just so many. Actually, in like the Portofino, I love Mama Della's. Oh, my gosh. First of all, the atmosphere, Mama is in the house, and she's actually greeting and serving and everything. And they have music, and the ambiance, the food's incredible. It really is it's a must-do. I always recommend Mama Della's, especially if you want to have a really nice dinner. It definitely lends itself for that.
Yeah, so. Awesome. So I wanted to jump into some maybe new things that are coming in 2021 and beyond. I think that there's going to be some, I think there's a new ride coming maybe, but there's also even more stuff coming than that. So could you share with us maybe some things to look forward to in the next year or two?
Well, we always were planning something new. And actually, I'll let you know, there's probably half of the stuff I'm not even familiar with that they're planning and working on as we speak. Our creative team is constantly planning new rides and attractions. Our attractions, we keep them up to date. So after a while, if we see that people are, they've enjoyed enough of it, we will change it out. That's Jaws, as you recall, used to be on premises. Well, that got moved out. And of course, now it's Diagon Alley. That whole space has been converted. As far as what's coming in here in the near future, it'll be this coming summer. We're having Velocicoaster, which is going to be part of the Jurassic World theming and being built right now. It's actually complete. They're just doing now testing and so forth. Yay. So yeah, I'm waiting for them to start announcing, hey, when is it going to open, a soft opening, whatever it may be. As a matter of fact, if they do have a soft opening, the way it normally works at Universal is that guests can always ask our guest services department, which is located to the entrance of the theme park, to see if there is going to be testing that day on that ride. And the ride itself, what they'll do is they'll pull out just a regular board saying, hey, you want to come in and enjoy the ride at this point? We're testing it. Come on in. That's the soft opening. But this coaster, it's all, of course, based on the Jurassic World storyline, but it's going to have some good speed to it. It's going to have new turns and twists we've never done before. And also, what else about it? The height. It's going to have some good height. And actually, there's going to be one area where apparently it's going to go right over the lagoon. So the tracks have been built. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know enough to really be able to share with you guys how it's going to exactly be because we haven't tested it yet. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be one of our newest attractions. We did open up just recently, as I shared with you, the Jason Bourne Spectacular, which is an incredible show. And moving forward, I know that they're planning all kinds of other projects, some that are kind of commonly known out there. And one of them, of course, is building a fourth park. Which has been talked about and it's out in the media, of course. It's known by those that follow. And so that new park is going to be called Epic Universe when it does open. As of now. Sometimes it could be changed, you never know. And of course, it will have all kinds of new areas. We do have an agreement with, of course, a Nintendo. So we already have, yeah, I know, isn't that crazy? And as a matter of fact, they already opened up Nintendo World in Japan.
Yeah.
And so that just recently was opening up. And so they were showing just different elements of it. It's impressive. I mean, if you love Nintendo and the games and that was part of your life, you're going to just be wowed about the Nintendo world. Well, we're hoping that that's going to be a big piece of this area as well. So we'll see. Time will tell. We also have, of course, ownership of Dreamworks Animation. And we really haven't done a lot with Dreamworks and the characters there. So I'm going to speculate there's going to be something that revolves around Dreamworks and so forth. In Hollywood, we did open up Kung Fu Panda as a show. So we're going to see what happens in Orlando. I'm sure right now, as I said, they're planning on a lot of different activities and rides and so forth based on many of these storylines that I just shared with you. So time will tell.
All right. Well, that's exciting. So before we wrap up, I wanted to just do a little, I guess, flashback to the Universal Express Pass. So like you had said in the beginning, several resorts allow you to have the Universal Express Pass as part of your package as a special add-on. It is something you can purchase separate as well, but kind of an express round with you. I wanted to give you some this or that, or give you a few options and see what you said is your favorite when it comes to comparing a few of these things. So you're just going to give me a quick one-word answer in this express round. Okay, so Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure?
I'm going to say Universal Studios.
Okay, if you're there, are you water taxi, bus, or walk?
I walk.
Voodoo Donuts or Toothsome Chocolate Emporium?
Toothsome Chocolate Emporium. I love that place.
Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley?
Oh, Diagon Alley.
Three Broomsticks or Leaky Cauldron?
Three Broomsticks.
Butterbeer or pumpkin juice?
Butterbeer. And by the way, I like the frozen one.
Well, we're going to get there. Minion, sneak peek. Minions or Marvel?
Minions. I'm a Minions person.
Okay, so how do you like your butterbeer? Cold, hot, frozen, or ice cream?
Frozen. Actually, you know what? The cold one, the traditional one's really, really good too, by the way. But yeah.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with any of them. All right, so you're in I can't even say this ever. Florine Fortescue's Ice Cream Parlor. What is your favorite flavor?
Chocolate chili. It has, let me tell you, first of all, chocoholic here, but it has this little bite that just is awesome. So yeah.
I know, I love the ice cream there because there are so many unique and interesting flavors. It's a little tidbit. They don't let you taste them. You have to buy them. So you can't just go through and be like, oh, I want to sample a few before I decide. You have to fully commit. So, but yeah, they're all really interesting. And, at first glance, you're like, huh? But they are all really good. So you can't go wrong. Okay, so favorite hotel pool?
That would be the Hard Rock. And the reason is because you get to listen to music underneath the water. I think that's so neat.
That is so cool. Favorite ride?
Favorite ride? I think I have one too many. But if I were to try to pick one, I would say the Hulk. Just because, again, that fear factor, it allows me to have fun, on a coaster. So
awesome. And then what's your favorite special event that they have at Universal?
Oh, wow. Now that's tough. You know what? Because, well, first of all, there's multiple, but like right now we have Mardi Gras going on. And I'll tell you why I like Mardi Gras, because not only is there a parade and there's floats and it's a really family experience. And then typically on weekends, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they'll have a concert that's part of your ticket. You don't have to buy a separate ticket for this. And actually, many customers can register to ride a float, which I've done a couple of times, and throw beads out. It's a fun experience. So Mardi Gras is fun for that reason. The holidays, gosh, I'm going to pick all of them, because the holidays during the Christmas period, you have the Grinch Who Stole Christmas at Islands Adventure with a play, and then adorable. All the Who people are with, their Who noses walking around in Seuss Landing. Very, very nicely done. And then you have the Macy's Day Parade at Universal Studios, and then the Mannheim Steamrollers play as well, entertainment on select nights. And the whole resort's dressed up. I enjoy the holidays to begin with, so it really does have an appeal. And then the other one that I would have to say that is fun is our Halloween Horror Nights. Let me tell you, we refer to it as HHN, and it's not for, it's a PG-13. It's not for those who get scared easily, because they will do everything to make your skin crawl and to make you react. And there's like all these haunted houses in the backlot zones, and these haunted houses are pretty cool. I mean, they're authentic haunted houses from movie making sets, kind of a thing, very top caliber. And then they have scare zones, and they have shows, and you really go in there and just get submerged into Halloween entirely. We have a lot of people traveling from all over the world to come just and plan their trips just for this event, around this event. So it's really a cool event. So I actually like all the events.
Well, you can't go wrong with any event at Universal, and it's always a good time to go, because there's always something exciting happening down there, and we just love it. And so I just want to thank you so much, Al, for sharing your expertise with us and telling us more from your perspective about Universal. And I'm sure our listeners are going to just love hearing all these little tidbits and hidden gems that we shared during this podcast that will make their trip even better. So thank you so much for your time today, Al. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. And of course, if you're looking to go to Universal, we have lots more tips to share with you and can totally help customize the trip to be exactly what you're looking for here at Magical Memory Planners. So thanks so much, everybody, and have a fantastic day.